is arts and crafts time here in the E30. Finally something fun to do. I decided to do something fun, inexpensive, just to kind of make the car a little more mine, and I've decided to redo the shift boot. I don't actually have an e-brake boot that's fabric, but I'll show you the setup right now. Alright, I have my flashlight on because it's kind of semi-dark outside, so here's the setup I have right now. It's kind of this faux leather, pleather kind of thing. I mean, it's not my favorite thing about the car. The little red stitching's a nice accent. It's subtle. It's alright, but I kind of want to do something to the car to make it a little more mine, personalize it a little bit. This is something that can be redone and put back to stock. The e-brake boot, which is right there, isn't really a fabric boot at all. It's not at all. So I'm gonna have to look up a pattern for that. My goal today is just to take this off, undo it all, and use that as my pattern. So I'll have to look this up, and I'll probably do that in another video if I even decide to do it. So that's what we're gonna do right now. I'm gonna take the shift boot off, and then we'll get started. Okay, so here's what I got. I have this plaid for the shift boot. Then I went ahead and got needles and yellow thread. All of it total, like I said, cost me under 10 bucks. It was 9 something. I'm gonna turn this inside out, and this right here was on the part that went by the shift knob. So keep that for later. And there's also a little part that went by the shift knob that will go inside of that piece. And then it looks like that. So I'm gonna put that away for later. This also, the bracket that it goes around to sit in the housing, to sit in the center, it looks like it was super glued as well. So I'm just gonna start taking that off. Okay, so that's what the housing looks like. That's what I'm gonna use to put the new fabric back on, or the new boot back on. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this right side out again, and then I'm gonna cut it along the stitching as best I can. Then I'm going to give myself a little bit of room, one further this way, so I can cut to fit. I'd rather have to cut some off at the end than not have enough. And then I'm probably gonna give myself a little bit this way and this way, obviously to make up for where I'm gonna stitch inside out. So ideally what I could do, and I think I'm gonna do, I'm gonna leave it like this with just one side cut. That way I don't have to sew twice as much. I'll just have it going around shaped this way. It's kind of an awkward fit, but when you put it down, it lays completely flat. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do that instead of having to stitch twice, so I'm not gonna cut that. Okay, so I was kind of considering pinning it, and then I quickly remembered that this is the pleather kind of stuff, and it'd be really hard to get a pin through. So I'm just gonna lay it flat. I'm gonna put old book behind it so I don't mark on my floors. And then I'm gonna trace it with Sharpie where I need to cut. My grandmother would be cringing right now if she saw how I just did that. Okay, so now I'm gonna cut it out. Fabric scissors would probably make this a whole lot easier. Holy crap, this is hard. Probably gonna cut my finger. So here is the final product. Looks pretty dadgum close to the original. All right, so next what I'm gonna do is I am going to turn it inside out, which there really isn't an inside out, but I'm just gonna use where I traced as my outside, and putting it together, sewing down here, just folding it over, and I'll sew completely down from the top, and I'll leave this open right here. I need to put 2 holes in here. I'll probably do that in a minute. Let me make sure there's no more holes anywhere. Okay, there's no more holes anywhere. So I'm gonna sew along here. I'm gonna leave this open, and then afterwards I'm gonna fold this down like this folded down. Whenever I sew something, I would almost always rather have to start again. So, you know, have a new starting point twice than use a really long piece of thread, because it always seems to get in the way, and it always kind of messes things up if you have too long of a thread to start with. Okay, so now that I have that sewn, I can flip it inside out. It looks pretty good. Everything's sewn, everything's tight, the stitching's tight, that looks good. I'm actually impressed with myself that I did that. Doesn't really matter what way it goes. looks even. All right, so I had to end up cutting some tiny, tiny holes for the little things that were poking out on the side to go in because I figured I would need that. And I'm gonna go ahead and put this in on the outside or while it's inside out so I can just turn it the other way. And I'm gonna turn this right side out. Okay, so next is gonna be the fun part. Let's get these needles out of the way so I don't stab myself. This is the back, this is the front, or facing me, facing forward. So what I'm gonna do now is take the part that will be facing me, which is right here. I'm gonna get this as even as possible. I ended up just cutting little holes where the tabs are and I stuck the fabric over the hole. Okay, so now it is completely dark. Okay, so I'm gonna put the boot on real quick. Where the freak is everything at? Oh dude, that looks dope. All right, so it's the next day, obviously, because it's light outside. I decided to wait and show you guys what the final product looked like in the daylight because the flashlight just really didn't do it justice last night. It looks good in the dark or light, it doesn't matter. But I want you guys to get the full effect, so daylight it is. I might throw a little cinematic edit in, or I might just show you straight up. I haven't decided yet. But either way, enjoy it. I love it. And the good thing about it is I can easily make another one if I change my mind. Like I said, it cost me fabric-wise, I won't have to get thread and needles again. Fabric-wise, it cost me a little under $4. It was like $3.90 something. So super cheap, super easy to make, so I can change it out as much as I want. Here we go. Here is the new plaid shift boot for the E30. Enjoy it.